Kia ora, g'day, welcome back once again. Well, we are still chipping away through Mr. DJ Shipley's interview on the Sean Ryan Show. You'll be pleased to know that we're nearly there. I've been enjoying this. We've still probably got at least 2, 3, maybe 4 more reactions to do on this one. So anyway, let's jump back in.
This is normal. This is reality right here. This is where I'm at. And we slowly started to input a couple meds. They left me on a couple things, just no painkillers. I couldn't do it anymore. From the NSAID use over the years, I've got like stomach ulcers. So if I take an 800 milligram Motrin, I piss blood, like weird stuff. So had to come off all the NSAIDs. And the only thing they left me with was Cymbalta and Adderall. Which hindsight being 2020, I probably should have came off those. But at the time I couldn't even fathom it. My anxiety was so bad, my depression was so bad, and those pills were the only thing that kept me sane. And I say sane relatively. Yeah. I was in a bad spot.
This is really, like, it's been interesting. I've got a whole flood of memories coming back in from previous reactions, but probably more so as recent ones. When I think you mentioned in the previous one, just before this reaction, what did he say? The sweet little black lady who said, "Are you ready?" And then took everything off him, then locked them in a padded room as part of the detox process. But just listening to him speak about these things now, and to his credit, he said it was the first time he was sober. I think he said in the last reaction as well. You're taught, I recall being taught very early and I think it even happened on cycle in both NZ and Australia. Maybe it didn't happen on the NZ cycle. Maybe it was more on the Australian cycle, and then definitely reiterated during my time in the squadron. If you are not 100%, like if you are not healthy physically and mentally well, that you don't deploy, because you are a liability, a big liability to your teammates, to those that you're working with. That always resonated with me when the instructors shared that. And I think it resonated with the other guys in that as well. But yeah, you don't want to, and so it surprises me. It's interesting to me how much DJ still deployed after, which is awesome. But at the same time, I think, oh man, I personally, the way I looked at and received that information was, I did not want to have to look myself in the mirror if I was to deploy on an operation and I knew I wasn't fit and healthy and well to go, physically and mentally. There's just, because if something had gone wrong, yeah, I know I wouldn't have taken it very well personally. If something had gone wrong whilst I was in a patrol, and if I knew that I wasn't 100%, and if I was drugged up on things, yeah, that would not have gone well for me anyway, I don't think. So it's just interesting listening to DJ. I love the fact, that's what I love about he's being so open and honest about where he was at. And I wonder what his thoughts are now, knowing the shape that his body was in, knowing his dependency now in hindsight on the drugs and medication that he was taking to try to stem that so that he could function to a high level, which he knows the demands and the job requires. I wonder where he's at now. Clearly he's in an awesome space, and it's great to see and hear. But yeah, that's a tough place to be in. It just shows how much it meant to him. That's what it shows me. It shows how much the job meant to him, and how much the men that he was working with, that he felt privileged to be alongside of, how much they meant to him as well. So yeah, and from that perspective, it can be a hard thing to let go. But if something happens, you're going to be in a very dark place, I would imagine anyway.
The Patsy came up to see me in the hospital, drove up there, and you think it would have gotten better, and it didn't. So now we've got 2 kids, got a brand newborn, and I'm just in a bag of shit. So I come back from that and essentially got Mila, my youngest, who's now my therapy baby, just laying in the bed, just feeling sorry for myself. I don't really know where I'm going from here, but I know my career is over. I know I'm miserable. I know I really want to take a bunch of pills to stop feeling like this, but I can't. And I don't know what I'm going to do. They introduced art therapy. It's kind of where the whole tribe skate thing started to go. It was a spillover from NICO. I started art therapy at NICO, and then the whole staff knew me, and they all remembered me. So when they heard I was next door, they opened up a facility, and I could go over there as much as I wanted to. They let me do the dog program, so I got to hang out with puppies all day, therapy dogs, and do all that. And the Red Cross walked in one day. She's like, "What can I bring you? How about a blank skateboard deck and some paintbrushes?" She went, "I'll make that happen." And she wasn't supposed to. You're not supposed to leave that place, and she snuck me out. She walked me downstairs and put me in her car and drove me out downtown Bethesda to a skateboard shop and bought me a blank skateboard. It was her own fucking money. Snuck me out, totally got in trouble, and brought me back. And she's like, "If anybody asks, it just showed up here." Yes, ma'am. And I made my first board. Big paper mache thing with a bunch of fucking hands coming out of it. Yeah, just, the whole mass concept you do.
Yeah.
Neither. It was essentially that, but I did it on a skateboard. And I just dumped everything I had in me on that board. And I felt better. I had an SF guy who was going through a dark spot, a real bad spot. Same thing, his career, he was not ready to go. Had him do the same thing. Like, just try it. Just paint this whole thing white. Paint the whole fucking thing black. Now do this, now do that. Started to help. Conversations started to go, and we got to relive experiences, and that art therapy shit, it helped. We were in that thing for 31 consecutive days, inpatient, detoxing off meds, having to talk to all kinds of therapists about your feelings, and pain management specialist. And the big thing I got out of it, I was able to override pain so well that I couldn't tell if I was hurt or if I was injured. I couldn't tell the difference anymore. Everything felt the same. If I stub my big toe or if you break my leg, it all felt the same. I didn't care. I mean, we'd go in there for some of these things, and I'd have these long conversations with the doc, and they'd ask, and they wanted to know tips and tricks on how I get over this. And I talk about things I do mentally to try to flush out some of the pain I was feeling. I was doing breathing drills way before it was a cool thing to do, and I'd imagine, like, I'd go deep thought concentration. I'd paint away pain. I just spread loaded throughout my entire body, so it wasn't isolated in one spot, and I became successful at it. But it doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
Man, lots of cool stuff in there. The nurse, I think she was a nurse, had snuck him out, took him to go get a board, took the time to ask, "What can I get you for starters?" From Red Cross, I think he mentioned. Then snuck him out, got that stuff, board and some paintbrushes, him dumping what he was feeling onto the board, which is cool. Art therapy, getting to be with the therapy dogs, the puppies and that as well, that would have been awesome. Not awesome that you're having to need those things or use those things, but man, if it helps, why not use it? Helping out another SF guy who was going through some stuff, and when he mentioned the other SF guy that he was working with, which opened a pathway and a doorway and just told him, paint it white, paint it black, do whatever you want, that it opened conversational doors. But the part that stuck out for me when he said the other SF guy who wasn't ready to let it all go, man, it hit me a bit there, eh? Like, had I not been so prideful and egotistical, man, I could have stayed in. I wasn't ready to let it go. That's why I went into the private sector. And I found a connection there, and it was helpful. And I touched on, I was pretty close to going back and reneging on the promise that I made to my wife. It's how much I wanted to go back. I'll do anything. I'll do selection again, is where my head was at. I'll do the selection again and the cycle again if you want me to, and I'll go on those subject courses and I'll do whatever it is. Or because I was too stubborn and pig-headed to do it the first time. But listening to DJ speak about it, and the other guy who he built a connection with, it sounds like, and had the conversations with. Yeah, I can imagine how helpful it must have been for both of them. Shared lived experiences in terms of what they were going through, whether they were about to be medically retired or whatever the case might have been. and just having another brother to be able to speak to who's been there, been through the same or very similar stuff, and them being able to navigate their way through it. There is a power in speaking with people that have been through those shared experiences, but also it can be helpful as well, speaking with people, I'm sure, not that I've done it, but speaking with people that don't have the same lived experience. I'm sure they're able to help in some way as well through the skills and qualifications, education, I suppose, that they attain over time.
It was so bad when I came out of that fucking place.
So that's how Tribescapes was born. Art therapy.
Yeah, man. Like, I came out of there and, you're getting ready to retire. The reality that thing's going to happen and you don't know what you're going to do. Am I get a contract? Like, what is it?
Did you know you were retiring at this point?
I knew, the med board had already started. We've crested into 2019 now. I'm still jumping a little bit from what I can. I'm contracting, working some courses, my off time, just maintaining currency, all that. And then that's when we get to Tribescapes, and like I actually made it a thing. I brought in Cole, and we had a shop, and it was my little therapeutic outlet. Didn't make any money, but it kept me sane.
Was Cole still in at this point?
Yeah, he was still in.
Okay.
Yep, he transitioned over. He was doing like a training position, but his med board was about to start. He was banged up. He's had multiple surgeries. He's chewed up, and that's when I got into fracture burning. It's like I had to replace some sort of danger element with something else. So the skydiving I couldn't do right now. I'm going to the med board. If I got hurt again, they are definitely going to fry me. I just have to sit back here, and I just have to. When you go through that, they take all your specialty pays away. So you used to make an X amount, chop that in half, and that's what they maintain you at. And that process can last as long as they need it to. And I had a lot of injuries. My medical record's 2 volumes.
They take your fucking pays away?
The day you start it. Every specialty pay goes away. Sometimes, I've heard rumors, guys having to pay back re-enlistment bonuses. All kinds of shit, man. Like, it's bad, but they hold you to that. So now the lifestyle you've been accustomed to living, you can't afford to live that anymore. So now what do? Just get depressed. You can't get a job. They won't let you have outside employment. So what do? Just miserable. You're just waiting to finally retire. If they would have given the option just to leave, I just would have left. I was so over it by then.
Man, that's hard. That's sad to hear too, with regards to that. I mean, it's probably, to a degree, I can understand, the specialty pays and stuff, no longer getting them if you're not earning them, so to speak, or maintaining them, which is understandable. But far out, just I don't know what the process and stuff is over there, but clearly it sounds fairly rigid and not as supportive as, well, it doesn't sound like it's as supportive. I would have thought, here's a guy or guys that have been prepared and willing to sacrifice everything and have sacrificed a lot, and the medical records show, he just said it's 2 volumes worth. You'd think there'd be something towards whether the military covers all of that cost or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. As far as being accustomed to a certain lifestyle, I can relate to that. But I've always, my wife and I, we've been blessed. We've always found it easy to, you just tighten the purse strings more in terms of, okay, that's how you were living. That's how you could afford to live for that time. Great, cool, awesome. Now you can't. Here's the reality. You can't right now. So what do? Don't need that. Don't need that. Start chopping things away that are not necessities, that have just been wants, that have just been nice to haves, that have just been luxuries. And you start focusing in on, okay, this is what we need. We need to pay these bills. We need to pay this amount for the mortgage, and we need this food and these essentials in the home to live. We're blessed. We've got a home, etc. A warm home, roof over our head. We've got a vehicle. Need to maintain that. Need petrol. Anything else, if we don't need it, then we're not having it. Kids, you want a phone? Oh, well, you get a job and you buy your own phone and you pay for your own phone. Mum and dad aren't paying for it, so all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'd like to think that there was hopefully some better care for soldiers in general, not just SF operators, but soldiers in general that have given a heck of a lot. And there's plenty of soldiers that never served in SF that have given more than their fair share.
I was fucking hateful, dude. I didn't want to accept that was actually happening to me. And then, I had to kind of close out that chapter and accept it. Like, this is what is happening. And I finally got my retirement date. The med board is over. It's probably May or June. There is an invite for the world record for a skydiving thing. And I went out there and I did my training jumps and I got picked up and I got a slot, invitee for the world record. It's going to be held in Chicago that year. And it was like, that was the fucking best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm so excited. Came back home and, got zapped with the voltage. Kind of reset everything. So at that point, when that had happened, I had been through NICO, done 4 more deployments, been through 7 East, came off all the meds except Cymbalta and Adderall. Now I've got the world record thing coming up. Super excited. Basically leaning in heavy on tribe skates. Just doing that all day long, just trying to keep myself sane. I'm in the best shape of my life with VHP. I'm training every day, and I feel like $1 million. Like, I'm finally starting to come out of it, at least on the surface. Things were still rocky with the family. I was still any moment I could to separate myself, I did. I mean, I do it now, just out of habit. But I'd be up at 5 a.m. every morning. There's no reason. I don't answer to anybody, and I'd go sand skateboards out in a fucking empty parking lot at 5 a.m. just to be by myself. I didn't want anybody there with me. I didn't know what I was going to do, man, but I knew it wasn't anything positive.
Yeah. All right, let's move in.
I don't know what the zap with the voltage is about. So, well, maybe he's going to get into that now. So.
Let's move into Father's Day.
2019?
Yep.
So, I started tribe skates. Started doing fracture burning. We were laying graphics, doing normal stuff, and fracture burning was kind of introduced to me. So you take a microwave transformer, you pull it out and you hook it up to jumper cables and run a lead out to 110. There's no real safety measure. There wasn't on that machine. So I ran an extension cord out of my house to an octopus outlet, take said machine, plug into said octopus outlet, and then hit the button. Hit the button, unplug it. Now there's no power going to it. The unit's good. I've been doing it for months, burned hundreds of boards at this point. I've got my chi down. I've got my whole system down, and it's therapeutic because it's fucking dangerous. Like, you gotta be locked on. So I'm in super good shape. It's Father's Day. I am burning paddles for an EOD unit. It's about to retire, so they're giveaway paddles. I fracture burn them now, and they do a bunch of cool stuff with them. And a buddy calls me. He's like, "Hey, I've got a couple more. Can I drop them off?" And I've been out there since 6 a.m. Like, send it. Fast forward, I burned probably 10 boards that morning. And he shows up, and they're not sanded. They've got lacquer all over them. I've still got a bunch more boards I got to do. And you have to sand off every ounce of that lacquer or it won't conduct. It just won't do it. You got to spray electrolyte solution on it, hit it with the voltage. So he is... I'm fracture burning boards. I stop, I take a break. He's plugged into the octopus outlet with a sander, sanding him down. In the confusion, the sander gets unplugged. My machine gets plugged and the switch gets turned on.
Shit.
So I've got,
sorry, I still have no idea how this fracture burning stuff works other than DJ talking about how dangerous it is. It sounds like there's a miscommunication in terms of something what's happened here from a sander to now back to the fracture burning is now hooked back up. And I don't know how many voltage or how much voltage went through.
Sawhorse is set up. I'm sanding down boards with a bristle brush, knocking all the ash off. I'm spraying it down with a hose, so the whole backyard is covered in water. I'm in a tank top and board shorts, no shoes on. doing my thing. I remember it like it was yesterday. We're in front of my bay window, and it's probably from here to there. I mean, it's close. We're standing essentially on the back porch. Both my kids are there. They're watching the iPad or watching cartoons, eating breakfast. It's probably 8 a.m. And the old lady knocks on the window. She gives me one of these, like, it's fucking Father's Day. Let's go. Trying to go have a family breakfast and do the whole thing. I'm like, last burn. Last burn. And I was like, all right, man, let's knock out this last one. And I grabbed those leads and I readjusted my hands. And if you're true north, that's where he was. I was about in this fashion. And when I grabbed those leads, it snapped me and spun me towards him. And every muscle in my body contracted. And I can remember my head fighting the urge. It wanted to slam back and touch my own spine. And I remember fighting it as hard as I could. I could remember my teeth heating up. And it felt like there was a copper spool. I could taste copper in the roof of my mouth fucking spinning. We made eye contact. I remember him screaming, fuck, fuck. Oh, no, 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 fuck. And the contraction got so fucking hard. I ended up taking a step back at some point, and I landed in a puddle of water. But when I did that, I heard a loud pop, boom, and it was my collarbone shattering. And if you listen to Patsy, I leveled out in the air and I shot across the yard, still holding on to these things.
Holy shit.
I remember hitting the ground and skipping and having this thing. It felt like my entire body was being burned alive. It was intense and it was static, but it was static you could feel. Like the static on a TV, like everything went to that, and it was the static sound was inside of your fucking brain. Just, and he unplugged me, and everything went black. And I don't know how long I was out for. I don't remember. But I remember opening my eyes, and he was in my face. And I remember exhaling and smoke coming out. I remember looking down at my hands, and I had a burn through my palm, had one coming out of my finger. Shot came out of my head, some arc spots out of my thigh, had one come out next to my ass. And I remember laying there, and he looked at me and he goes, "Do you know where you are?" I said, "On the ground." And he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm not okay." I was like, my collarbone's broken and my left shoulder's out of socket for sure. And he kind of rocked me up forward, and I had a big mouth of Copenhagen in, and I bit through my tongue. So you can imagine what that feels like. I just kind of opened my mouth and just let this shit pour out of me. It was just a steady pool of blood. I didn't know how bad it was, but I knew it was bad. My wife's freaking the fuck out. The kids are freaking the fuck out. He's freaking the fuck out. Rightfully so. I told him I do pretty good at keeping my composure in situations like that. And I was like, we're good. I looked at Patsy and I was like, I'm driving myself to the hospital. I'll go get checked out, go eat breakfast. I'm not ruining Father's Day. And that was the stupidest thing that's ever left my mouth. You're going to drive yourself to the hospital now for this? And I remember I stood up. They were trying to find me shoes, trying to find a hat, and trying to find my wallet. I live maybe 2 miles from like a level 3 trauma center. And he's going to drive me there. My wife is going to call her mother to come over and watch my kids, and they're going to meet me there. They've already called Cole. They've called everybody in the shop to let everybody know what's happened. I stood up and I said, all right, I'm walking to the truck. And I turned and I got to the gate, and it's probably maybe 40 feet to my truck. And I took a step and everything went. Took another step. And it reminded me, in the moment I thought about it. You remember Kill Bill? You remember the 5-finger death punch?
Yeah.
Take 5 steps, on the 5th one you die? Exactly like that. I got the 4 and I was fucking right here. I was a fucking cyclops. I couldn't see shit. And I was scared to fucking death. I could feel my heart rate slowing down. Like I could feel it. I mean, you'd think it'd be blowing through my chest. It wasn't. I could feel it. And I didn't feel right. I felt very strange. And I took one more step and everything went jet black. It's fucking totally blind. And I'm just on the side of my house. I can't feel anything. I can't put my arms out because everything is broken. So I'm hoping that someone's going to come save me. And I can't see a fucking thing. Nothing. And I start to breathe. I start to hyperventilate, try to flood myself with oxygen. And I forced it. I opened my eyes as wide as I could, and I started to deep breathe until light started to come back in. And I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was him, and he guided me to the truck. And by the time I got there, my vision had came back, but it wasn't normal vision. It was like superhuman vision. It was the brightest colors I've ever seen in my whole life. It was like I could see like Superman. I saw everything. I felt everything. I've never been so in tune with my body ever. I could feel everything. We got in the truck and we drove to the hospital, and we hit every pothole on the way. So my collarbone's in like 30 pieces. It's just kind of gravel, just moving around. My scapula's blown out. And every bump we hit, it felt like a shard was going to go into my lung. I didn't know how bad it was at the time, but I had a pretty good fucking idea. And we walked back there, walked in, told him exactly what had happened. We don't know the voltage. I don't know the ampage. I don't know anything except that everything I've ever read is no one survives this shit. So I should have been dead. They brought me back on the table. They stripped me down. They're going through everything. They shoot the x-rays. They see the collarbone shattered. They see the scapula. They see everything else. And this doctor comes back. And he tells me, he's like, "Hey man, what do you do?" And I told him. He's like, "Here's the issue, is with electrocution injuries, your body starts to produce some kind of enzyme. Like, I'll fuck up the name, so I'm not going to try." But he goes, if that number hits, we'll call it 10. If it hits 10, your whole body is going to turn into essentially like rhabdo. Muscles are going to liquefy, and I have to start chopping shit out of you. I'm a lot bigger then than I was now, or than I am now. And he goes, "I got to start cutting out big things, dude." He's like, "Pecs got to go, lats got to go, glutes, thighs, hamstrings. We got to cut it out of you, because if not, it turns to mush, it turns septic, and you'll fucking die." He's like, "So when this thing goes, we got to go." So I'm imagining now, I'm laying in a hospital bed, and this dude's going to walk around the corner with a fucking piece of paper and start cutting pieces off of me.
So it's just your tissue, it's dead tissue that's rotting.
Yeah, essentially like
toxic.
There's so much trauma all the way through, your body produces natural enzyme that basically turns shit septic.
Holy crap. I'm going to pause it here because this is nearly 30 minutes. But he said he was bigger than he is now. Probably one of the things that saved him, I don't know. But holy heck, when he's been talking about his ability, and humbly speaking about his ability to tolerate pain, you know, there are some people out there, freaks, people might call them, that can just tolerate a heck of a lot of pain. Their pain tolerance, their threshold is just next level. And clearly, he has been able to tolerate and put up with a heck of a lot of pain. And then having that electrocution happen on Father's Day, so that's sort of the fracture burning, the not miscommunication, but the unplugging of the sander, or plugging in of the sander, and then unplugging and plugging back in the leads for the fracture burning. Oh man, stepping into the puddle, the Kill Bill 5 palm exploding heart technique, or whatever it is. Man, just what he described. And then the supervision that he's talking about, and could sense and feel everything. That's, man, that must be a trip to be feeling like that, to be feeling all of that stuff. Holy heck, man. Hard to kill, eh? That's what I'm thinking when I'm sitting here listening to this and going, holy heck, what will it take? What does it take? If we think back to some of the earlier reactions, he's been shot right in the chest, into the plate, maybe more than once. I don't know how many rounds are in that plate. Multiple contacts. The TBI stuff from the overpressure, from what they're using to try to get out of that situation when they went to try to grab a guy, but that didn't work out. Just even the stuff prior to in his initial deployments, man, to this, crazy. Clearly not his time, but the things that he has been through, the things that his body's been through. And then to look at him now, like, if I didn't hear all of this stuff, I would never have guessed it. Like, he has talk about being broken down physically, mentally, emotionally, maybe spiritually as well, I don't know. And then to have the discipline and the desire the will to keep fighting, to keep turning up, to rebuild himself again, to strengthen himself. I watched some of their videos on the GBRS. They did a strength or testing day. Holy heck, the dude is strong as. So the time and the resiliency mentally to just invest in yourself. So he's been investing in himself to make sure that he can still turn up and do the things that he needs and wants to do, while still being honest about, I think he said he still does it today, distancing himself from his family and just wanting to be on his own. I can relate to some of that as well. But holy heck, I cannot relate to the injuries and the stuff that his body has been through. From being dragged on the boat to popping both shoulders, to both hips being done, to the nasty parachuting accident that he had going through his course to get to where he needed to the detoxing, to all the, the painkillers, etc. Becoming addicted, going through the withdrawals. Man, it's a heck of a lot of gold content in here. Lots of things that I've taken away from his connection with his dad and all that sort of stuff when he spoke about earlier, when I was early into this reaction. There is a lot of gold in this interview, and I appreciate those people that sent me this suggestion and recommendation for me to react to it. DJ seems to me like an incredible human being, humble about what he's done, but also acknowledging some of his shortcomings, and the shortfalls, which we all have. So anyway, if you made it this far, I appreciate you and your time. I could carry on banging on all day. I've still got some more of this reaction to do, which I will get to it, but appreciate your time and support. As always, the message is the same. Anybody going through any dark times, challenges, struggles, keep turning up, keep staying in the fight, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Know that the sun will shine again. Take one day at a time. There are better days ahead, and those better days are closer than you think. So know that you're not alone and keep staying in it. As always, go always a little further. Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all.